All right. Last but not least, let us hear from Ruby Groovy. I'm gonna get my popcorn ready for this one, but please tell us your overall thoughts on Andor, my friend.
Okay, so all right, bear with me on this because I have only seen I'm coming off of only seeing the show once. And you
Okay.
probably heard me say this a lot of times already in previous reviews, but I have come off of seeing the show only once, but I felt like I only needed to see it once. Uh Going into this, again, I'm going to go back to what I was saying before. I was telling myself like, okay, the podcast is coming up. I got to get through this. I got to get through Andor. It's got to happen. I've been putting it off. I'll admit it. I've been trying to put this show off for as long as my heart can last.
Me too.
But
Dizzle, you too. Yeah.
hang on. I know you want. I know you want to bark. You're saving the barks. I get it. I get it. Just
Beef,
hear
you
me
had
out
your
here.
time.
Yeah, you had. Hear me out here. Hear me out. I felt like in my soul that I wasn't going to like this show. I felt it like the moment that the show was announced that Cassian was going to get his own show. I thought that Disney had absolutely lost it at this point. Like they had just completely lost me. Like I know that they had made some very questionable decisions from at least the sequels and the other two anthology films that they just didn't really stick well with me. Even Last Jedi, which is my personal favorite of the Disney films, that film has its own mistakes. I'm not gonna lie to you. The Canto Bight stuff, not fully fleshed out, but like the idea is there at least. Uh, so yeah, they announced Andor, and I just think that Disney has just completely lost it. Now, what's interesting is that right before I get into the first episode, something clicked in the back of my mind, and there was a little voice in my head that told me, dude, look at this from a different perspective. Don't look at it from just the one angle. Look at this in all dimensions. Sure, they're doing a show on a character that you hate personally, like you absolutely despise this character. Honestly, I think Andor is the absolute worst character in Star Wars ever. I know that everybody has their own personal least favorites, like Jar Jar, L337, Holdo, Rose, the list goes on. You have your own personal least favorites, minus Andor personally. But the little voice in my head told me, so this is your least favorite Star Wars character and they're doing a show on it. Wouldn't you think that they would potentially make this character better since they're doing a show on him? And I start to look more into like the reviews and whatnot. 8.4 on IMDb and a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's not bad. Not bad at all. Critics and fans alike are milking this show. And so I'm thinking, okay, like this part of it may be the Rogue One stuff, and I personally also just don't like Rogue One. But maybe there's a side of me that might be interested in seeing if they could potentially improve on this terrible character in Rogue One. I mean, absolutely terrible. So I went into it thinking, I'm not super excited about this, but I'm hoping that they don't flop this, because I want to see more great Star Wars content. Then I get into it. I'm about like 5 episodes in. All 3 of these guys here have probably seen all of my Snapchat stuff. I've done like Snapchat reactions of some of the moments from Andor. And I had one of my friends ask me, so how are you liking Andor so far? I told him, I am 5 episodes in, and I am debating on continuing. 5 episodes in. That's not even halfway into the show. Show's got 12 episodes. I'm 5, and I was even like 3 episodes in, and I was debating on continuing. 2 episodes in, debating on continuing. Wanna know why? It's because for me, the show as a whole the story itself, I can understand, but it does not work as a Star Wars show. It does not work as a Star Wars show relating to other Star Wars projects like Rogue One, which was meant to be more of a war film, and the prequels a little bit, because, you know, we're going into more of the political side of things with Mon Mothma, but that's more appeal to kids. So when you're getting into this show, you're mixing in elements from material that the adults are more attached to and elements that the kids are attached to. And who is this show really supposed to be for? You end up seeing that, you know, they're trying to show the kids, like, you know, this is what you see in the real world. Like how Beef said, you see sex in this show. They don't necessarily show it, but you get the idea. You get the idea. It's there, whatever. But I just don't see this as a show that I would go back to rewatch. It's a hard show to get through. I even went on to, after I was done watching the entire series, I told myself, you know, there was probably only one episode that was like decent at best, or like good even, had like good moments. I went straight to Twitter and I said, and I have it right here. It's still pinned to my Twitter, so you guys can still see it if you guys want to go follow me there. You can see my pinned tweet. This is what it says. Andor is the worst Star Wars show on Disney Plus, and the fan base, this may trigger some people, so just bear with me. And fan base,
before you say what you say, what the thoughts of what Ruby's about to say does not reflect the thoughts of me, Big B, or Beefalo. But go ahead.
No. It does not reflect anyone's thoughts on the show. Again, if you love the show, that's great, because Star Wars is meant to be for everybody. And there's always the great thing about Star Wars, right, is that there's always a show or a project for everyone. So, like, we have people that love Rogue One. We have people that love specifically Return of the Jedi. We have someone specifically who loves Revenge of the Sith. The Last Jedi for me. Empire Strikes Back is my favorite fucking movie of all time. Empire Strikes Back. That is the movie that
loves The Rise of Skywalker. Beefalo loves The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, Beefalo, Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
And the Empire Strikes Back for me is what's putting me on the path of potential, of success, of wanting to go into films. Empire is the reason why I want to do films, and The Last Jedi elevates that for me. And everybody has their own stuff that they love. People love Rogue One and Andor. That's awesome. Happy for you guys. Y'all love Solo. There are some lovers out there that love Solo. We love Solo out here.
Not me.
We have people that love
crazy.
We have people that love the Clone Wars movie that most people probably forgot that existed. I'm not kidding. I mean, we have fans out here that love this shit, right? So nothing that I'm about to say here reflects your opinions on this show. But what I have pinned to my Twitter right here is Andor is the worst Star Wars show on Disney Plus, and the fan base should be ashamed forever thinking that any part of this show is good. That was my initial reaction to seeing Andor, because leaving this show, I had no reason why the show was ever made in the first place, because the show does not improve on Andor as a character. It does not elevate the story in any way. It does not make any elements of the saga as a whole better. In fact, it potentially makes it worse just by emphasizing on it any further. And I see the fans are loving this show, and I can't look at this show in good conscience thinking that this is the future of Star Wars on Disney Plus. I just don't see that. And it got so bad. I'm telling you right now, it got so bad to the point where I didn't even just go to Twitter about this. I was literally shouting to myself in my apartment right now, or when I first finished watching Andor. I went to my notes app on my phone and I typed out, I literally titled Star Wars Rant. Right there, you could see I was furious about this show. And I started it off, I'm only just going to say how I started it off because I don't want to trigger people any more than I probably already have. And if I have, I'm so sorry. But this is what I started off with. I am tired of believing in the fact that people are saying that Rogue One is one of the best films in all of Star Wars and Andor is one of the best Disney Plus shows. I just can't fathom the idiocy that is the love for Rogue One. That is what I started off with, and I'm not going to go any further into it because I don't want to piss any more people off. That is my initial reaction coming out of Andor, because this show just does not deliver on the promise of it being watchable, to be entertaining, to be engaging with the characters. There is only one good enough character, being Luthen Rael. That is the only passable character in the show. Stellan Skarsgård's character. He's the only passable character in this show. And he had like maybe one or two good moments ever. He had the monologue scene at the end of episode 10, which was probably my favorite part in the entire show. But they don't expand on that anymore. They just don't do it. They want to have Andor in the show as much as they can because the show is titled Andor, so therefore Andor has to be in the show. But if Andor's in the show, why are we not improving on this motherfucker? Why are we not doing this? The whole point, right? The whole point of making a show about doing a show named after a character is to potentially improve on the character. This is why Book of Boba Fett passes in making Boba Fett a better character. Not a great character, not an amazing character per se, but better than he was in the original trilogy. Better than he was in the originals. Obi-Wan Kenobi, I'm gonna bring him up. He was a side character in the prequels, and they put him front and center in his own show. And even though the show didn't really work for me as a whole, there were some missteps in the story structure. They nailed the character. I want to see more of Obi-Wan the character, not Obi-Wan the show necessarily. Andor, however, does not do this. They take the worst character, in my opinion, the worst character in all of Star Wars, and they make a show named after him, but not only do they copy and paste the formula of the Rogue One character being the generic asshole guy who gives no exposition, who has no motivation, who is just wanting to tell people what to do because he feels like he has authority, because that's who he was in Rogue One. He was just this asshole who felt like he had authority. And they made this, they didn't expand on that in his show. They don't expand on it any further. But not only do we have a character who was copied and pasted into his own show, and they made him just as bad, you write an entire new ensemble of characters that are equally as bad and equally as not memorable, first off, and not entertaining. None of these characters appeal to me at all. Not even a returning character, Mon Mothma, who was said to have a bigger role in this show, but every single scene that she was in, I wanted to skip. Because holy shit, is this character overused, overhyped, the most bullshit character I have ever seen. You should have kept her in Return of the Jedi. You should have kept her in Return of the Jedi and just walk away. She was terrible in this show. I love the actress. Nothing against the actress. She did good with the material she was given. I don't care. It doesn't matter though. You put her in a role that you can't base anything off of you can't do anything with this role. You're just trying to give this character more flavor, but it doesn't do anything if you're making me feel like I have to skip all of this. If Mon Mothma is here for half of the show or a third of the show, why are you making me feel like I have to skip this? It's not only that character that I feel that towards. It's every other character that I see that I feel like I just need to skip it because no one is likable in this show. Luthen Rail, again, is probably the most likable character in the show. But even him is kind of stretching it. I'm not going to lie. No one is likable in this show. And it makes me worried about them going for season 2, which is why you see in my name title, #cancel Andor, because you can't go anything off of this. The only thing that you could do in Andor season 2 is improve on the characters. But I know that they're not going to do that because they didn't appeal to my interest in season 1.
That's okay.
So like, hang on. I'm almost done. So overall, it's a show that I felt like I was going to hate in the first place. And I hated even more than I felt like I should have. And it feels insulting that I have to say any of this. But that's the show that they made. They made it in a way that it personally kind of insults my intelligence as a Star Wars fan. Of all of the stuff that they'd shown, it feels unwatchable to me. And it feels like I can't watch this having a relaxing time, just enjoying a sci-fi fantasy, because they're turning this franchise into a not sci-fi fantasy that it originally started with. So it's here. It's a show. It's not my favorite. Whatever. I'm done. I've spoken way too much already. I'm sorry. We've probably taken about like half the time already.
Really,
I'm so sorry.
I can take your rant and clip it and just.
I know.
I was gonna say.
I was ready, dude.
Well, no,